Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. We're taking your calls on the show to add your voice to our discussion on the U.S. presidential election that was held yesterday. And of course, Barack Obama, the only black man to ever win the White House, re-elected for a second 4-year term. And that causes David and Ayodele to smile. So I'm sure it does you as well. We're talking implications, we're talking... let's talk about the challenges, though, that Obama faces. I mean, soon from now, he'll be a lame duck president. He's not yet. But he has to really galvanize support for the rest of his party, especially in the House of Representatives, because right now the Republicans control the House. And you'll continue to see what you saw 4 years ago or 2 years ago, where they were just fighting on everything that he proposed. Can he be successful with the Republicans still controlling?
I think, yes. It's a good question, because I think that the way forward is unclear. Because the Republicans are also on the back foot, because remember, this is his final term. After this, obviously, he can't run again.
Right.
So in a way, Obama may have a, listen, I am going to do whatever it takes.
Right.
I don't have to be worrying about re-election anymore. So he may be, maybe a tougher negotiator. Or the Republicans can feel, what, we don't want the country seeing us as stymieing progress, as trying to not work with Obama, and remember that they're trying to see him as a party that can maybe build America, lead America. And if you're just seen as a party that wants to constantly block and obstruct, I think that already the electorate is turned off by what has been happening. Obama has been re-elected, and so the electorate has said, okay, we want him there, so why are you not working more in consort with him? However, it's the Republican Party, and this lost smarts. So I'm not sure what may happen.
But it happened under Clinton. These guys shut down the country.
Yes.
So they have not had a history of exercising common sense.
Yes,
I think there's somebody maybe on the...
Yes.
We have our first call. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, what happened there? What happened there that Obama right now is that's just the social notion people that the Americans are not no fool. Because they re-elect Obama. Yeah, what they have to do was to re-elect him a second chance again. What they make me feel right now, the Russians are a bunch of monkeys. That's what happened in there. I don't know what I have to say there. Yeah.
All right, thank you for your contribution. I would not necessarily agree, but
yeah, I think the Republicans are in a real bind.
In the end,
also
the battleground state of Ohio put the election
the way
out
the
of
American
reach.
system is set up,
President of the United States defeats Mitt Romney.
So that you have to have compromise. And if you don't have compromise, it falls apart. Now, the difference between Clinton and Obama is that when Clinton lost the House,
right,
he was still able to get cooperation from Republicans on some important initiatives.
Yes.
And he was still able to get some quite important things done, welfare reform, those sorts of things. What has happened, though, with Obama since the Republicans won the House is in a way unprecedented, because they are helping with nothing. I mean, they're compromising on nothing. And I think the first major challenge of his presidency is already on him. The Americans are facing what is called this fiscal cliff, which means that by a certain date, early next year, there are just going to be automatic, grave, deep cuts in spending in a number of programs in a number of areas. If that happens, the American economy will go over a cliff, and the world economy will tumble. We are going to be in serious trouble. So it has to be avoided at all costs. The problem is, in order to avoid it, the Republicans and Obama have to agree on an alternative. So they have to agree on a deficit reduction program, which Obama is on track to repeat what happened a couple of years ago, where he's saying he will not consider making any cuts until they agree that there have to be some increases in taxes for rich people. And they're saying they are unprepared to raise taxes on anyone. They just think government has to stop spending. If those two sides are unable to arrive at any compromise, we are in a lot of trouble. Because if that happens in the United States, make no mistake, things in St. Lucia are going to things in the entire Caribbean, things worldwide are going to go very, very bad. It's a huge challenge for him, and frankly, I don't know how he's going to manage it. It's the first test of his second term. If he manages to avoid this and avoid it in a way that it was mishandled on both sides, the previous occasion when the United States had to raise their debt ceiling. But if he manages to do this, his legacy is guaranteed. I mean, it's guaranteed because he's been re-elected. But if he fails in this, then almost everything that happens afterwards is going to be colored by this major failure.
I'm more optimistic, though.
Yeah.
But then, just to make a point, that goes back to what we were saying at the beginning, that America has become so polarized that, you know, that cooperation that Clinton was able to realize back then, that is not guaranteed right now.
Clinton was a different personality.
Yeah.
I gather Clinton was more of a deal maker. And far more had more of a people's touch, and had a
you don't think Obama has that?
Not necessarily.
Really?
No, not necessarily. He has
that's
a different.
interesting.
No, I think in fact, and it's been said, he's a more distant personality, more aloof. Very much about, you know, a principled discussion about things, very, very disciplined and so on. He will not go necessarily play golf with some of these because that's where the deals are made sometimes. And Clinton understood that because, you know, Clinton is a political animal. Obama is a different kind of political animal. Yeah, I think you have a call.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, greetings. This is Malaki. I say that through this whole election thing, the whole dealing with Obama, with the Republicans, the real issue there is not how Obama deals with his governmental issues, you know. It has a whole thing to do with the whole racism. Look at the whole Republican side, the whole 72% of white male voters, and then he didn't get that same amount of male voters in this round of elections, and it's really the minority, the black and the Hispanic vote, which really carried Obama. And the whole Republican thing, it's a whole racism thing, it's a whole white male voters, and they trying to hold a deadlock because Obama is going to have a whole legacy of the whole black legacy that's going to go on the deal. So they're just trying to shut down anything that he's going to bring forth. That's all what's going on. It's the whole racism in America. It's not over yet. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I don't think America will allow the Republicans to shut it down.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think so,
Yes,
because right now, as you said, there's so many lessons that were learned yesterday or in yesterday's election that they have more control, they have more power, and people feel empowered that their vote actually counted. You know, when there were states saying, well, we're going to shut down the voting, no more registration and stuff. Say, you know, is that what you're trying to do? Let's show you that we'll vote against those ideas, those concepts.
I think,
and yet, you know, the first and the very first statement from the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, old white Republican male, the one who had promised that his objective in life was to make Obama one-term president. His first statement after the results were released, after the election was called last night, was that, well, Obama may have won the election, but it doesn't mean that he's on the right track. It doesn't mean his policies are right. It doesn't mean that people approve of what he's doing. And it's not going to change one iota of how he approaches dealing with the president. So I understand what ayodele is saying. I'm not as optimistic. And one of the things that was a bit worrying to me is that they voted for Obama. He won a convincing victory in the electoral vote. But Americans chose to have divided government. They chose to keep Republicans in charge of the House, even knowing that over the last 2 years the country has been in deadlock because Republicans have just not been willing to act. I mean, they've actually proven that this Congress, which has been operating for the last 2 years, has done the least work of any Congress since the 1940s. I mean, they aren't showing up for work, or if they're showing up, they're not actually voting on any legislation.
But I think what will happen, I see a new wind blowing through, and I think that the Republicans are very concerned about the midterm elections in the next 2 years, and that they'll behave themselves. Yes. McConnell and also the House Majority Leader. When they spoke last night or this morning, I was like, Are these guys for real? You just lost an election, the presidential
they have to
election.
save face.
But when they come to their senses and realize what has happened, I think they'll have to turn around. They'll be forced. If they do not do it willingly, they'll be forced to turn around, or else they'll have to choose another majority leader, or something.
I think we're underestimating how much it bothers some people that there's a man in the White House whose skin is dark and his last name is Obama. I mean, I think, and I say that in jest, but also seriously, I think we are underestimating how hated. Listen, Obama won 2008 by a landslide in the popular vote and the electoral college. He gets to Congress and he wants to get something done. And the Republicans sit him down and they start to lecture him, to tell him, well, no, this is what we want to do. And
this is how it works here.
This is how it works here. And he perhaps fortunately or unfortunately says, but I won the election. Maybe that was a bad thing to do, but it shows you where the Republicans are thinking. Here is this man coming, who the hell are you? We're going to tell you what, you may have won this election, that doesn't mean anything to us. We're going to set the agenda. We're going to determine for you how things get done.
But I think they're going to regret that. My feeling, like you, Clinton, is that as reality sets in and what this vote has said to the Republicans in terms of their relevance as a party and how they're viewed, and yes, it was close, but still the people spoke, that they will have to find a way to work with him to deliver something to the American people.
Or they'll lose the House.
That's my feeling. That's just my
midterms.
feeling. I think so. I think the Americans are tired. I think the electorate is tired. That's my sense, being up there. But I'm more optimistic than David generally anyway. But yeah, I'm a more optimistic
I'm not saying that it's
personality,
impossible,
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking that, yes, I agree with him. It's a tough thing, but I suspect that the Republican Party may dial back a bit. Maybe, not as much as we'd like. But
we have someone who's trying to make a contribution, so let's take that call and after we'll take a break. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Clinton, and good evening to your guests.
Good evening.
Well, hats off to Obama. As an American living in St. Lucia, I was proud to say at least I voted online on my absentee ballot and my 2 kids. Proud of that. Okay? Voted for president. But when you look at the case, listening to your discussion tonight, even though they have the majority in the House, it's also going to be very difficult, right, for them to hold Obama against what he wants to apply or implicate to run the country, to run America. Just give me a minute. What I'm saying is they're going to lose their majority. Right now, they're a weakening party. They cannot hold him to that because the American people is going to see that hello, yes, you lost, but you cannot hold the president
hostage.
A gridlock to not run the country because it's going to not only hurt America, it's going to hurt the whole world. You understand? Everybody. So they need to work with him. They have to work with him, or else he's weakening them. At the end of the day, they will probably never get in power again. Understand? So because it's like you guys said earlier, you're looking at a party that is consumed of all white, ideology. The young people are looking at them. So it's, to me, it's going to be death for them if they don't work with him.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. We'll take a break now on Newsmaker Live. When we come back, we'll continue to take your calls and we'll debate the issues arising out of the U.S. presidential election. Stay with us. Newsmaker Live will return right after this.